Hey, let's talk about. Thanks for cutting me. Alright, enough. Try to forget that. Back to the important question that is inside your heads right now. What is moral panic, and why does it matter to me anyway? Well, here's a definition to help you out. According to OxfordDictionaries.com, moral panic is an instance of public anxiety or alarm in response to a problem regarded as threatening the moral standards of society. So what does that mean? I find that the best way to explain this is through examples. Here's your first example. So it's like Socrates or something. I think that's what his name is. But I don't know. He's like one of the founders of Western philosophy or like something like that. It wasn't very important. Socrates' moral panic regarded using written word over memorization. He essentially thought it would lead to the downfall of man because words would not be adequate enough to teach others, and people would essentially become less intelligent. Here is an excerpt of what he said. Then he will not seriously incline to write his thoughts in water, with pen and ink, sowing words which can neither speak for themselves, nor teach the truth adequately to others. So basically, words are not adequate enough to teach others. But it turned out just fine. Written word is one of the most popular forms of communication right now, and we haven't become less able to convey our ideas because of it. And on to the second example. You know that thing that lights our homes, charges our cell phones, and gives us a chance to live out a longer day? Yeah, it's electricity if you didn't know. People hated on that too. People thought that lights and electricity would lead to home invaders. Today we know it to be the total opposite. In fact, if a home invader sees a bright light, they'll steer away from that house. So in actuality, it did the total opposite of the moral panic. Here's another good one. Broadcasting. When broadcasting and the radio first came out, people thought it would be used by governments and corporations to brainwash them. And well, it has become true in some parts of the world. An example, North Korea. But in more civilized portions of the world, we still don't see that. So this moral panic was largely unfounded. And the last example, the internet. The panic surrounding the internet has to do with the idea that the internet is making us more shallow, disconnected socially, and has lessened our attention span. Before, I mentioned the endings to moral panics and how they're unfounded. This is not the case for the internet. This is one of the moral panics we do not know the ending to. It's just too recent to definitely say anything. Now that you know what moral panics are, let's talk about its effect on you. From the examples I showed, you can see that most moral panics are unfounded and don't exist in the pessimistic way panickers view them. Unfortunately, this may not be the same for the internet. According to an article on Time.com about a study conducted by Microsoft, our attention spans have become so short, they're shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. Our attention spans have dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. Now that sounds terrible, right? But there are some good sides to this. This shortened attention span, called a hyperattention span, is perfect for the modern age. We take in multiple streams of media daily, and a hyperattention helps to judge whether material we receive is worthy of our time or not. But still, shorter than a goldfish, a fish that has a 9-second attention span? Come on, humanity. The internet can also make you antisocial. According to an article on CNBC about a study conducted by FlashGap, about 87% of millennials admitted to missing out on a conversation because they're distracted by their phone. In another part of the study, 54% of those studied experienced fear of missing out if they didn't check social media. So essentially, the thing that should be connecting us all together is actually bringing us farther apart. It's an awful paradox. And yet another article. This article by independent.co.uk quotes a recent survey that found as many as 1 in 5 say they feel depressed as a result of using social media. That's a crazy number. 20% of people feel depressed from using social media. And the effects on you is just tremendous. You're basically signing up for a chance to feel depressed when you sign up for social media. That's insane. That should not be a risk we have to take. Do you see the issue here? Most of everything that panickers are worried about is true. This moral panic may be true, and that affects you tremendously. The internet is physically changing you, and if you think that's a bad thing, then the internet could be threatening the standards of society. This may be the first time where a moral panic turns out to be true. I mean, just look at the evidence. It's clearly stacked up against any deniers of the internet moral panic, and it makes sense. Maybe you've experienced symptoms of a lessened attention span or depression, and that could be caused by the internet. So, is this a problem or not? I unfortunately do not have the answer to that, but it will be up to you to figure it out. You, and me included, will be the first generation that decides how to act in relation with the internet. It'll be the decisions we make that will be written down in history, so let's make the right ones. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.